Hey everyone, Robert Ferringo of docsports here with my co-host Raphael Esparza, bringing you What Are the Odds? Thank you for taking some time out of your Friday to join us. We would like to reward you with, well, lots of things, actually. The first is going to be a promo code to be used towards NFL preseason betting this weekend. It's NFL Pre-40. That will get you 40% off of the $45 weekly package. Don't worry, I did all the math for you. It brings the weekly package down to $27. So use that in conjunction with my other gift to you down in the description. We have that free 60 link that will take you to docsports and give you $60 free to use towards any handicapper, any sport, any package that you want. So for instance, if you use that promo code NFL Pre-40 with the $60 link, you can get Raphael and I's whole weekend card full of NFL preseason action. I still have 8 picks in the hopper, including my NFL preseason game of the year. You can get all of those for free and still have $6 left over to be used towards something else. So don't forget about YouTube Premium. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe. So, all right, Raphael, we got to start with a game that we talked about last night on Doc's Football Release Party. Those of you that don't know, every Thursday at 6 o'clock on Doc's YouTube channel, we're going to be doing Doc's Football Release Party. After the plays go live, I'm going to have a bunch of handicappers in, and we're going to talk shop. So we talked about the line that broke my brain, that Colts-Ravens preseason line last night. Yeah, that is a winner for you. I was like, all week, I'm like, you got to take the Colts here, right? Like, this is so weird that this movement, like you have to follow the movement, right? But you and Scott Spreitzer last night saying not so fast, betting against these types of line movements. Scott had a good stat, said went 26-13 last year in the preseason. And you were like, no, this is kind of dumb money. This is square money that's been blowing this number up. So I'm going to take the Ravens because all the Ravens do is win in the preseason, and they won in the preseason. So kind of take me through how you were feeling watching that game.
Yeah, I know Scott said last night had some great stats, so hats off to him and thank you for him to joining the party last night. But yeah, he mentioned I think Baltimore's lost 6 or 7 straight preseason games and all that.
7 straight after they haven't covered. I don't know if they've lost. Yeah, they might have lost 7 straight after winning 24 straight.
But none of those games there were 6-point underdogs in any one of those games. So that was one thing that to me. I threw one out to the side just because they're at home. Getting me plus 6.5. Let's repeat this again. 1, 2, 3 at home.
Right.
And then you're trying to tell me Richardson and Daniel just they both played. But I didn't care because they weren't going to be playing in the third, fourth quarter. I think that's why I thought Baltimore was going to come and take care of business and at least cover that number for me. I didn't think they were going to win the whole game outright. My free play yesterday was the Colts first half over. That one hit because both teams put up points quickly, and that easily went over. So my storyline was wrong. I thought Baltimore was going to win or cover late in the game. That wasn't the case. They had the lead early and just hold the lead. But give me plus 6.5 for any name Harbaugh in preseason. I'm going to jump at that.
LOL Anthony Richardson, right? Like the guy is just a dud. Like I said it when he came out of college. Like I was not one of the guys that was hesitant about saying that like this guy stinks. He's not going to be good. And here we are a couple years later. He's hurt again. Like, does this mean that this is Daniel Jones's job? And were there any books that you knew of that were taking props on who would win the starting job there?
Yeah, they were, and Richardson was the favorite. They took him down, especially now for his finger injury. So I think there's only 2 teams that have prop bets up, Saints and Browns. So I don't think there's a third team out there. And I can't wait to watch Sunday's game because the Brady bunch of quarterbacks coming out of the Saints backfield is going to be pretty hilarious.
A clown car of quarterbacks coming out of there right now. But I mean, what do you think? Richardson's done, right? Like if you have that ticket on Daniel Jones, you should get ready to cash.
Well, I think it's only his pinky, so unless for some unknown reason he lights up and maybe plays preseason week 3 and has a showing. Yeah, I think it's Daniel's for him to lose right now. Unless he gets hurt, then it's a different story.
Yeah, because it's just always something. It's his knee, then it's his shoulder, now it's his finger. Like he's just a big dumb idiot. Like can't protect himself. He's just a physical specimen. He is never going to develop into anything. He's another.
If they don't have a quarterback, like I say, both of them. Let's say Richardson stinks, Daniel Jones gets hurt or whatever, and all that. Everyone says tanking for Manning for the Giants, tanking for Manning for other. What if the Colts tank and they get the next Andrew Luck coming into the backfield? That would be very interesting.
Forget the next Andrew Luck, the next Peyton Manning.
Well, that's true.
All those people could dust off those Manning Colts jerseys.
You are 110% correct. I apologize for that.
But it's weird, though. They're in such an odd situation. I almost thought that they were going to be the Colts would be a little bit more of a dangerous team with Daniel Jones, just because I think that he brings a higher floor and baseline competence. And you look at it like Shane Steichen, he's coaching for his job, right? So I forget what show I talked about this is on about, but like we're not privy to those behind the scenes conversations with upper management and ownership, right? Remember, Jim Irsay passed away. Okay. So now his daughter's running the team. So Shane Steichen's entering year 3, pivotal year 3. He's got to feel like I can't have a losing season. I have to at least make a threat here. So I'm going to be playing to win. Or are there conversations going on behind the scenes, especially now that Richardson's hurt? And it's like, okay, look, if things don't go our way this year, you won't get fired. I'll give you a 4th season if we get Manning. We just don't know what that's like. But like he is using, what was it? Joe Flacco, Richardson, and Gardner Minshew. He's gone 17-17. The Colts have been a 500 team over the last 2 years with those 3 jokers at quarterback. I feel like they could win. I still feel like they could win 8 or 9 games with Daniel Jones at the helm. Like, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It's like, it's just going to be interesting because that offensive line does not look good at all. I mean, yes, we saw preseason, but that's preseason. But they had question marks on the O-line coming in before preseason started. So I'm not going to throw everything out, but I would be shocked if they struggle from the start. But I agree with you. I thought Daniel Jones would be week 1 starter even before Richardson got hurt.
They lost 2 starters. On that offensive line, including Ryan Kelly, former Pro Bowl center, kind of leader of that line, and then Will Freeze, guard. Their 2 best offensive linemen are gone, so there are going to be some issues up front with them. So, okay. Also, how about the tie? You and I were literally just talking about this last night. I am going to be completely honest here. I either knew and forgot or just didn't realize that when they changed the CBA in 2021 that they allowed for ties in NFL preseason games. So that was bizarre. Like when I saw Pete Carroll kick the field goal on that drive late, I was like, what is he doing here? Like, what is going on? I didn't realize that they wouldn't go to overtime. But what did you think about that? A lot of people were expecting Pete Carroll to show up and bring his team and all that. And that, they were another kind of hefty road favorite last night, but Seattle was pretty much the better team for the majority of that game.
If you're a soccer fan like me, I laughed my booty off when we saw a tie in the almighty NFL shield that we saw last night. And another thing that crossed my mind, I said this multiple times today. I think this is my 4th or 5th show today. If you're going to place a bet, read your house rules. That's in your house rules because I published it in our site at docsports. You can read most the NFL house rules right there. And a tie's in there for preseason because I remember typing that up. And I'm like, what the heck is this? Right. So I had to research that. And I know 2021, they added this into the CBA. So in anything you place your bets on, people, if it's Vegas, if it's an app, if your book, even your book, you ask him, what's his house rules? You should always know what the house rules are in any sport.
And that's important, especially as we come up on college football season right now.
Yes.
I feel like this happens every single year. Like in week 1, a game ends in the 4th quarter or makes it, or makes it midway through the 3rd quarter or ends with 5 minutes left in the game. It happens more than you think. It really does.
Oh, it does. You're right.
So to your point, make sure that you know what the rules are on what you're betting. So, okay, that's a good. You know what? Let's stay with the NFL. I was going to use that as a transition point into the SEC and college football betting, but I kind of want to stay in the NFL. What are you looking at? Okay, before we get into what you're looking at, all 3 games go over yesterday, kind of way over.
Not even close over.
I haven't noticed big movements on the totals today from the sports books yet. Is that something you are anticipating happening? Do you think there's going to be a crush of over betting? And do you think that was just kind of a one-off, like these 3 games just happen to go over, but at the end of the weekend, it'll be kind of 50-50? Or like, do you think we're going to see more scoring and like hit that over now?
I think we'll see more scoring, and I noticed a couple books lower their max bet on totals today because we saw none of it close yesterday, all 3 of them. And again, I mentioned this on the show yesterday. You have to think about the numerous amount of bets coming in the NFL preseason, because you know what? Everyone's just excited there's football, and there's a billion people with a billion apps here in the States. They're going to want to bet favorite and over. So I'm not shocked that we haven't seen significant line movement in the over. I think there was only really one, Kansas City, Arizona. I think it was 37 and a half this morning. It bumped up to 39. I think that's the only significant one. But at the same time, we've seen some high totals in preseason posted already. When was the last time you saw a bunch of 36s and 37s as their opening number for preseason week 1? Maybe week 2 you might see some, because they see numbers coming out of week 1. So it's going to be very interesting to see if there's a lot of overs tonight. We might have a $500 max bet on totals for week 2.
Right, 100%. And again, if you like an over on something, I say bet it now, just in general, because I don't see a lot of those numbers coming down over the next 24 hours, especially if we get some high scoring games tonight. So is there anything on tonight's card that you are interested in?
Yes, I think the most intriguing game on the board is the first game. I want to see the clown car of Cleveland, the Cleveland Browns, who they're going to bring out. The betting world went nuts when Sanders was announced that he was probably going to be the starter. Got bet all the way up to 7 when it was a solid 4. And then it came back. We got a lot of buyback coming in right now. I talked about MGM today. They said probably going to move it to 5.5 before kickoff. So if you still like the 6s, I would grab the 6 right now. I think this one goes over. I'm a little bit shocked. Even if Sanders has a horrible game, you still have other quarterbacks that want to prove themselves out there. So I'm a little bit shocked. Most books now have 33. There was a 32.5, I think, at FanDuel when during Docs Daily when I was watching. Don't hit that like button when you watch our shows. So I was a little bit shocked that there was still a 32.5 out there about an hour ago.
Well, I mean, it's the only 2 quarterbacks that are going to suit up and play tonight are Shedeur Sanders and Tyler Huntley. And for me, like, no joke, I like the over in this game. And part of the reason I do is because of Tyler Huntley.
Yep, me too.
Shedeur Sanders is
Tyler Huntley.
That's right. Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley. That's exactly what I was saying yesterday on Docs Daily. Like, this is a guy that's played a lot in the preseason. He was on a lot of those Baltimore Raven teams that won games during that 24-game winning streak, and he was the quarterback in the 3rd or 4th quarter for a lot of those games. So, like, he's going to be right at home with this. He can move around. He can throw the ball. So I feel like they can get some points late. And as I mentioned, nobody's talking about Carolina. Everyone, when this game comes up, they want to go right to Shedeur Sanders, right to Cleveland. Carolina, they have an offensive head coach.
Yep.
What do they got with Bryce Young? Is he going to play? How much is he going to play? What are they doing with some of their young weapons, 1st and 2nd year receivers? How much love are those guys going to get in this game? But I feel like Carolina is a team that took a step forward late in the season offensively last year. How much of that is going to carry over into this season? So, yeah, I kind of agree with you that we could see some fireworks in that one.
Before we go into SEC, I want to ask you this question. I know they say they brought in Huntley because of the needed bodies, especially for reps, for handoffs for the defense. And all that. Give me a break. They're just saying if Sanders sucks tonight, I think someone gets cut and then they keep Huntley in there because there's no way they're going to keep 5 quarterbacks. I'm not buying this that they brought him in just a handoff so they can get reps for the defensive offensive line. I ain't buying that. Someone's on their way out really quick.
I do. I 100% buy that because, again, Pickett and Gabriel haven't thrown all week, can't throw this week. Shedeur missed just last weekend. He had to take a day off because his arm was sore from throwing, and Joe Flacco's 58.
What did he score for? Wait, 2 passes in a practice?
58 years old. Like, they could have,
I ain't buying it. You can have – I ain't buying that. Someone's on their way out quickly.
It makes sense. The last thing Cleveland wanted was another quarterback in their already packed quarterback room. I think that this was a move made out of necessity. And you're kind of giving the Browns a little more credit for, like, you know, forethought and strategy and stuff like that. Like, these guys are idiots. Like, no, there's no way, there's no grand scheme going on with the Browns because they're the freaking Browns. So, okay, let's get into college football. Last week we broke down the Big Ten. We put about a good solid 50 minutes into that show, breaking down pretty much not every team, but the majority of functioning teams in the Big Ten. So if you are interested, that is still on Doc's YouTube channel. So go ahead and go back and dig through, and you can find that. I feel like there was some good information there. Today we're talking SEC football, and we're not going to go through all of the 27 teams that are in the SEC, but we're going to talk about the teams at the top. And it kind of starts with Texas. Now, Raphael, I saw a really interesting stat about this. Texas is plus 250 to win the SEC. I'm seeing 275 at BetUs right now. That is the longest odds for an SEC favorite in 15 years, meaning this is the most wide open SEC race that the odds makers have seen in 15 years. Just before we go team by team, like, what are your thoughts, when broad strokes, when you're looking at the SEC right now?
I said many moons ago that NIL and a transfer portal was going to really hurt one conference and one conference over, and that was the SEC. And you're seeing it right now. Just it's wide. I hate to say wide open, because I think it's only 4, maybe 5 teams that I think that can win it. But normally it's just 2 teams. Normally it's just Alabama and everyone else, or Georgia and anyone else. This is just so weird for me to click on SEC, see the futures, click the link, and like, wow, this is really, really, really close to something like that. So it shocks me a little bit. So, and I think Texas money is just public money. I don't think it's wise guy money. I think what I heard from other books, especially Circa, they told me most of the wise guy action was on Bama and Georgia, not Texas. I think Texas is pretty much Texas Manning is not the Longhorns. So I think a lot of that has to do with that one. But I myself only think 3 teams can win this.
And what is it about those 3 teams that you feel like separates them? Is it talent? Is it coaching? Is it schedule? Combination of all 3?
Not schedule. I think talent and coaching. I mean, Georgia. I mean, it's Georgia. You always have speed on defense. Head coach is always a little step ahead of others. If they can get a decent quarterback play, they're going to be a tough out. And I think Alabama's on the redemption tour this year. This is one of those ones that you can sell a T-shirt that says redemption tour, where the new head coach now has some of his players in there, not old Alabama players. So I think this is something different. We can see Alabama. I think getting them plus 380 to win the SEC, and you can get them anywhere between 11 to 1 to win a national championship. But it's something you might want to sprinkle on, because it would not shock me if Alabama comes back and beat Alabama.
Okay, let's start with them rather than Georgia and Texas, because I honestly think Alabama is the most fascinating of the 5 powerhouse teams, the 5 favorites to win the SEC. And part of the reason that I think that is not only just like the historical situation that we're in, where Kalen DeBoer is the guy after the guy, right? You never want to be the guy after the guy in any sport, in any situation, and yet here we are, shifting Alabama's identity from defense, running, powerhouse, grind you down type of team to more of a freewheeling offense, high scoring. They can still play defense. They still have NFL caliber defenders on that defense. I'm not saying that, but the mentality is kind of night and day from where Saban is. And I really feel like they're the most interesting of the top 5 teams, because they have the biggest like implosion potential. Do you think so? Do you think that they could implode? Before we talk about like what we like and what we think is going to happen, what do you think? You think that they could run aground here?
When was the last time college football week 0 or week 1 has so many teams in turmoil? LSU, Clemson, Florida State, Alabama. I mean, these 4, just the 4 teams I mentioned, there's other ones that can make or break your season. You do not want to start off 0-1 if you're any 4 of those teams. Granted, yes, if Alabama struggles against Florida State, they have Monroe, Wisconsin. Me and you can beat Wisconsin. Don't tell our boss on that one. We're 20 years our anniversary, so I don't want to get fired on that. So, but I just think that game right there is probably going to see if I'm right on Alabama, if I'm wrong, because they're still at Georgia this year. So I mean, that could be a brutal loss. And I think they end with Auburn on the road. So I think they need that win against Florida State.
What do you think about that number, and what do you think about Tommy Castellanos, the transfer from Boston College, going down to Florida State, kind of running his mouth a little bit, saying this offseason that Nick Saban's not there to save you anymore. Do you think Alabama comes out and has a statement win in that game, or do you think that hey, Florida State was a train wreck, unmitigated train wreck last year, but 2 years ago they were undefeated. They're playing, closer to home. They have talent. Like, Florida State isn't a walkover team here, and this isn't really a walkover situation. Like, what are you looking at in that game?
I would say for a road game, I'm not really looking at it. Florida State, I think their road game against South Carolina. What is that? In the middle of is it middle of their schedule?
Yeah,
when they go to game, because they have a Heisman hopeful quarterback.
That's late. That's before they have a bye, before LSU, and it's the week after they host Tennessee.
And don't they play? They play LSU right after that game as well. I think that game.
Well, they get a bye. They always get a bye before LSU.
Right.
God forbid they overexert themselves at Alabama.
Yeah, you're right. So I think that game I have more circled than I do against Florida State, because I'm not really sold on Florida State. I mean, talent per talent, I'm going to take Bama talent over Florida State talent. So I would think the South Carolina game, because they have so much hype coming in to this season as the Gamecocks.
Okay. Also, like you mentioned, they're at Georgia, but they get most of their biggest games at home. Now, you're going to laugh when I say this, but they did lose to them last year. They get the Vanderbilt revenge game at home. That's the week after the Georgia game, though. Like, are they going to have enough left in their emotional tank there? Or is it going to be a situation if they go to Georgia and lose in Athens, like, oh my God, I'm not going to want to be Vanderbilt the following week? They get Tennessee at home. They get LSU at home. They get Oklahoma at home. As you mentioned, they have to go to Georgia and to Auburn. Now, seems like a good schedule, right? Because you get all those teams at home, but those are still a lot of losable games. So let's get into it. Their season win total is 9.5 here. Do you like anything on the over, on the under? They're plus 300 to win the SEC. Like, do you see any value here with the Crimson Tide?
I think sprinkling to win the SEC is a little bit better than the over 9.5, because I just don't like the juice on the over at 9.5. I think a lot of these SEC teams will beat up each other. Don't forget that Bama has to go to Missouri as well. That's always a tough place. Granted, this is not the same Missouri team we've seen in years past, but that could be a tough game, because don't they play? Who do they play right after? Isn't it
that comes right in a stretch of games where they go Georgia, Alabama, at Missouri, home to Tennessee, South Carolina. So they have a five week stretch of games right there, and that comes after the Georgia Vanderbilt. Then they go on the road to Missouri.
Let's face it, their quarterback is all going to determine. Their defense is going to be Bama defense. I think their question marks is of course quarterback play. So.
Well, again, kind of sneaky under the radar move that they made this offseason is getting Ryan Grubb back. He was DeBoer's offensive coordinator in Washington when they went to the national championship game. Seattle, the Seahawks in the NFL kind of poached him last year to be the OC, and it just didn't work. It just wasn't a good fit. So they let him go, and he went back to college and went right to DeBoer. So it's going to be interesting. Alabama didn't have trouble scoring points last year. Their offense could be even better this year now that DeBoer has his kind of running mate back. So, all right, let's jump back up to the favorite, Texas. Arch Manning. There, we got our Arch Manning talk out of.
Does he play defense?
However, let's just assume that the guy's going to be really good. Okay, I think that's a fair assumption. Like, he's going to be one of the 10 best quarterbacks in college football. He may be one of the 5 best quarterbacks. Like, we know he's going to be good. We've seen enough of him in the limited experience to know, and we know the pedigree and all that. He's not the problem. Okay, does Texas have enough else around him to support him enough to be a true national championship threat? Because they have lost a ton of talent over the last 2 drafts. I feel like that played a big part in why Sarkisian went with Quinn Ewers on last year's team. He didn't want to have the quarterback controversy. He just wanted to like nip that in the bud right away, which I respect and kind of agree with. But also he knew that it was a more veteran team. And he was like, veteran team, I'm taking my shot with a veteran guy. I don't have time to deal with like learning curve of this guy, but still very talented Texas team, but not as proven. So like, do you agree with the fact that they are favored to win the conference over Georgia and Alabama? And do you agree with the fact that they are the favorite to win the national championship?
I don't think they're the favorite to win a national championship, but things could switch. I think if the college football had maybe one more month before kickoff, wouldn't shock me that Penn State gets really, really close to maybe second favorite. Just the amount of money people keep on telling me that Franklin is getting, which still puzzles me. His name's Franklin. I can't put my money on him. But I just think
Benjamin Franklin takes offense to that there, buddy.
I apologize for that. It's again, I can't believe I missed this game out when I said 2 or 4 teams have week 1 issues. I forgot about Texas and Ohio State. Here's another one. What if Ohio State wins? I think Texas can rebound. The only tough road game I think they have is with Georgia. They have to go to Kentucky. Ooh, Mississippi State. Ooh, I mean, their road schedule besides Georgia is the only tough one. So if one team can maybe have redemption, if they lose week 1, or is that week 0, week 1? I don't remember. If they lose the first
week 1 game,
if they lose that one
on August 30th.
I still think they can run the table and make a playoff one, because I don't think anyone goes undefeated this year.
No, they do have, as far as SEC schedules, they do have a little bit more favorable. The game that I kind of have circled is the Red River rivalry, Red River shootout, whatever it's called this week. I think Oklahoma is going to be pretty good this year. I don't think Texas is has kind of curb stomped them a little bit recently in that series. I don't see that this year. So I have that as a potential. That's a neutral site game, although they do have a site home field advantage there. And they go to Florida the week before that Oklahoma game, potential look ahead spot. But other than that, no, it's like the season finale against Texas A&M is the only game that they aren't going to be favored by at least a touchdown in. So out of the favorite.
But is it really hard to go to the Swamp now these days? They've lost some very, very bad games at home. So I get what you're saying.
It depends on the Swamp. It depends on if DJ Lagway is healthy. If DJ Lagway is healthy, that was a team that finished really strong against the toughest schedule in the country last year. Did a great job to get to a bowl game, maybe bring some momentum in here. And again, you have that look ahead situation to that Oklahoma game, and you're going to the Swamp the week before. And Texas, I don't feel like has been in the SEC long enough where a trip to the Swamp or a trip to Baton Rouge or a trip to South Carolina, some of these places that are very, very difficult to play if you're not prepared for them. I don't feel like they can just walk into those situations and be expected to win. And I guess that's my point, Raphael. That's what I'm coming back to. Is this Texas team, in your estimation, from a talent standpoint, forget about the schedule, forget about Arch Manning, forget about the odds, just from a talent standpoint, top to bottom, offense, defense, is this team as good as the teams that we have seen from Texas the last 2 years? And are they the best team in the country?
Offense, yes. Defense, no. I think their defense is not the same defense we've seen. And I think in the last 2 years, their defense has probably carried them out of some tough spots. If last year, when the quarterback was struggling, their defense made some really good stops, field possession, and special teams, and they were able to get some points on that one. I don't see it this year when I was doing some deep dive on Texas defense. So I think their offense will be able to put up some points, but can the defense put some stops?
Yeah, I heard a sportsbook manager talking about it earlier in the summer, and that the reason that Texas is the favorite to win the national championship right now has nothing to do with whether or not the odds makers think they're the best team. The books are just taking the most Texas money. Yep. They have been bet by far more than any other team in college football. They have been bet to win the national championship. I'm sure that's why Arch Manning's Heisman odds are what they are. Is he the best quarterback in college football? Probably not. He's probably top 5. He's probably top 10. There's a lot of damn good college quarterbacks right now, but his odds are what they are because he's the most bet guy. The books have the biggest liability against him. So it's not a value judgment on whether or not he is the best quarterback in the league. So, okay. Texas season win total at 9.5, heavy juice to the over. Is there still a bite left on that apple, though, going through that schedule being what it is?
I would go down below and hit the alternate one and take the 10.5 at the plus money. If you think Texas is that team, you think Manning is better than sliced bread or better than pizza dough, then I would say take the 10.5 and roll the dice. Why would you lay that heavy juice on the over 9.5 if you think Texas can beat Ohio State, can beat Texas A&M at the last game of the season? You can get that nice middle spot at 10.5 with Arkansas and Texas A&M, both games at home, getting a nice price on the other side on a money line. Then I would say just move it up and go 10.5 total season wins.
Yeah, we talked about this last week when we were doing the Big Ten stuff. This is why, like, situations like this, don't bet this season win total, period. Okay. If you think that they are going to go over 10.5, over 9.5, okay, that means you probably like them to win that Ohio State game. Okay.
Yep.
But even forget about that game. Even if you like them over 9.5, you're willing to concede that they're going to lose to Ohio State and Georgia, two toughest games on their schedule, both on the road, going to be underdogs in both. You like that 9.5, to your point, rather than laying that juice, then bet them at Florida, bet them against Oklahoma. Like, there's other games where you can bet them at standard juice rather than having your money tied up for 5 months, 6 months, or whatever on a futures play that you got to wait. And that may come down to that Texas A&M game, the final week of the season, right? So why not just wait and bet on that Texas A&M game when that rolls around? So, okay, let's talk about Georgia. Another team, 9.5 season win total, juiced heavily to the over. Another team that is, Donna, what is it? 53-5. I think Kirby Smart is over the last 5 years, something like that. Came in last year with talks of another national championship, all that. They kind of crumbled under that weight and under the weight of some injuries. What are you thinking? Do you feel like Georgia's under the radar? Like, the people you're talking to, the shows that you're on, the topics that are coming up, do you feel like Georgia is kind of like, I don't want to call them a dark horse, but just not getting as much preseason love, especially compared to the last 2 years when we're talking about the futures market?
Yeah, because let's see, first game they're playing We Are Marshall. Ooh, everyone else is playing some tough competition. Their road game, their road schedule, they play at Tennessee, which is not the same Tennessee team we've seen in years past. Mississippi State, really, if you look at Georgia's schedule, then you're like, wow, how come this team is not ahead of Texas schedule-wise? Let's say if Manning does struggle. So, yeah, I'm a little bit shocked that Georgia is this. You can get this number on Georgia because their schedule is very favorable, even though they have tough home games, but you're at home.
Yeah, I like this would be my pick to win the SEC, right? But to win the SEC, you have to win the SEC championship, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Here's the problem. They get Texas and Alabama both at home this year. This is why I think that they should be the favorites over Texas to win the SEC. That's why I think the odds are a little bit off. That's why they would be my pick. However, they might have to have a rematch with one of those two teams in the SEC championship game. And do I think that there's enough of a separation between these two teams for them to beat them twice? And I know that they did it to Texas last year. I understand that. But now you're saying you think that Georgia is so much better than Texas that they could potentially beat them 4 straight times over 2 years, beat them twice last year, beat them in the regular season this year, and then beat them again in the SEC championship. I'm not willing to make that bet. I don't like that bet at these odds. But I do think that Georgia is the best team here. No?
Yeah, I agree. If I would pass on this total season wins at 9.5 and just bet to win the conference. Because you're getting but you're getting nice plus money than taking a negative money. Because if you get 10 and if they win 10 or 11, most likely they're probably going to win the conference.
Okay, so Gunnar Stockton is obviously the big X factor, right? Like one of the biggest X factors in the country. You got to give me a prediction. I got to pin you down on something. Is he going to be better than Carson Beck was last year? What are your expectations for Gunnar Stockton? You can't sit on the fence. You either got to say he's going to be good or he's really not going to be good enough.
In life, no, because I think he's in Miami dating a twin. So in life, I'm going to say no. In football skills, I'm going to say yes, because I like his mobility better than Beck. So I'm going to say yes, because I'm always a sucker for a good mobile quarterback. that doesn't play Alabama. Because what does Alabama always struggle? With mobile quarterbacks. So if you want to beat, I still think Alabama's creme of the creme in the conference, even though I know Georgia has been dominant lately until I think Georgia's getting close, but I'm always for a mobile quarterback, so I'll take yes.
Okay, so the next team, the team with the fourth best odds to win the conference, which I do not agree with, especially after today's news, is we have LSU season win total at 8.5, plus 700 to win the conference. Since you're the one who told me before we came on the air, I'll let you talk about this now.
Yeah, let me get his injury correct. I don't want to butcher it up. Hold on.
Patellar tendonitis.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Anytime you have a quarterback that has knee issues on August 8th and we're getting close to the first real hike, that puts a big concern. Because if someone offered me $1 million right now, who's a backup quarterback for LSU, I'm like, oh, so, I have no clue.
And you're in New Orleans. You're relatively close to the team. For those who aren't aware, Garrett Nussmeier did get hurt today. Hurt his knee. He is out. He did not tear his ACL, and Brian Kelly was kind of downplaying the injury a little bit, but you can't believe a word out of Brian Kelly's mouth, and generally you can't believe a word out of college football coaches' mouths. But are the books going to pull this number?
No, they haven't. I mean, you can still get 4.5 on Clemson for their week 1 game. Last time I checked before we came on air, you can still bet them on total season wins.
Wait, get 4.5 as LSU isn't favored in that game, are they?
No, Clemson is favored.
Yeah, right. You can get
Did I say LSU was favored?
You said you could get 4.5 on Clemson.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my apologies. Yes, Clemson's minus 4.5. The almighty Circa has it mighty 4 at -4. So,
well, for me, but again, he's not out, so he's probably going to play in that first game. So for me, I feel like the value, if you're going to try and bet against Garrett Nussmeier's knee, basically, is in that futures market.
But do you think? I mean, not practicing is going to be hurt. I mean, he's probably not going to be full prepared for Clemson because he's not going to be. He's still got
3 weeks, and he's probably going to play in that game.
Well,
right.
I'm not saying.
But what I'm saying is, if he can only play 3 games and then he shuts himself down for the season because he's worried about the NFL draft, that will have obviously a bigger impact than his preparation for the Clemson game. Not that it's not important, but if there's a chance that he can miss a significant portion of the season, we're gonna love that 8.5, that under 8.5 on LSU. No.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I look at their schedule and I see 2-3 losses. Sometimes I look at their schedule and I see a solid 4 losses. So it's very iffy. And to me, I've said this multiple times to you. If they lose to Clemson, then I think the wheels come off because I think Brian Kelly, he gone, and now they're back into a situation. Does Nussmeier think, hey, you know what? I already lost to Clemson. My coach is probably going to get fired.
They're not going to fire Brian Kelly if they lose week 1.
I'm not saying they're going to fire him after week 1, but I'm just saying if they don't make the college football playoffs, I think he's gone.
Okay. Do you think they will make the college football playoffs?
No, I do not think so. I know they're still paying. I don't know. Was he getting $58 million to buy him out or something like that? I don't know. But he hasn't done anything. He hasn't been in a championship game or even the playoffs. So if they lose to Clemson, I think they lose at Ole Miss. I think they lose at Oklahoma. So that's 3 losses right there. I'm missing one. Who else?
They have to go to Alabama.
Yeah, to Alabama.
And then their home schedule is no walk.
It's
Florida, South Carolina, Texas A&M. Yeah. None of those are layups. They have to go to Vanderbilt, which they proved it last year. They can jump up and bite somebody. Vanderbilt's going to jump up and bite somebody this year.
Every year.
With Diego Pavia that they're going to, compete for the SEC championship. And, I think they might compete for a bowl game though. Like they went to a bowl game. They went to a bowl game last year. So for them to get to that point, they're going to have to string together 3 SEC wins. So who are the unlucky 3 going to be? I could definitely see it being LSU. So the defense has been such a problem for them the last 2 years. Because you are a little closer to this LSU team living in Louisiana, what are you hearing about the new recruits that they brought in to bolster that defense?
They have more speed. I think speed killed them last year. I think they were getting the linebackers can keep up with the tight ends, and I think that's probably going to be the big difference this year. So that's how you were picking apart LSU, was just tight end plays, just right to center of the field. So I think if they can improve that, their defense will be improved, but not enough for me to say they're going to the playoffs. I mean, like I said, I just don't see that happening.
So I don't think that the problem with them has been speed the last 2 years. They've just been soft. They've been weak,
that too.
weak and soft. Now they know, the people in the program. So if they brought in a bunch of speed, then they would know. They're a little closer to their program than I. But I'm just saying, as a layperson watching this, they couldn't stop the run. Like they just could not stop people. They were not physically imposing on any level of that defense. So I would have bulked up a little bit, really, frankly, if I was them. But they decided to go another way. All right, the final team that we're going to talk about there, 8.5 to over-under season win total. Juice is fairly standard on both sides of that. Plus 2,000, so 20 to 1 to win the SEC was last year's disappointment, I have to say. And that was coming straight out of their camp, was Ole Miss. Started the season in the top 10, had expectations of making the playoffs, threw up on themselves against Kentucky at home, and that's really what cost them the playoffs, because this was a team that beat Georgia last year in one of their biggest games. What do you think about this Ole Miss team and Lane Kiffin?
Quarterback play. I mean, granted, Kiffin's always known for finding QBs and gelling them really early, so that's probably the big question mark, but their schedule is not favorable. And what if that QB struggles right away? I know people are probably talking, how can I going to talk about Oklahoma? There's other teams in this conference that we could have broke through, South Carolina. I just think Ole Miss, they have to go to LSU to play that game. I thought the schedule, they can be one of those teams that nips you in a butt and you're thinking, wow, we were supposed to beat this team and Ole Miss beat us. So they can be spoilers to people who thought they were going to the college football playoffs.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like they aren't expecting to be spoilers, right? Like they got their hopes set on competing for an SEC championship, competing on a national championship. So it's like if they go 8-4 this year, that's going to feel like somewhat of a letdown, right? But same thing. It comes.
You can, but if you go 8-4 and you're bringing a new quarterback, can't you just use? I mean, I'm sure they're going to use that. We're bringing a new quarterback. I mean, that's kind of what excuse that these coaches
Georgia's
use.
Georgia's got a new quarterback.
Oklahoma's
got a new quarterback. Alabama's got a new quarterback. Like everybody's got. Texas got a new quarterback. Everybody's got a new quarterback. So
Texas really doesn't got a new quarterback.
I don't think that flies. But especially with the hype around Austin Simmons, that's who we're talking about. The new Ole Miss quarterback that's taken over for Jackson Dart. Again, physical specimen, highly rated coming out of high school. Looked good in like some spot duty. I forgot what game it was where Jackson Dart went down and Simmons came in and started slinging it around.
He's got a gun. He's got a gun as an arm too.
Yes, he does. So no excuses there. But I'm selling Ole Miss. I'm selling Lane Kiffin. Like the guy just has never broken through. He's never lived up to his own hype and the hype that people have put around them. I don't think the defense is going to be as good. Like all the talk was about the offense last year, but really the defense carried them for long stretches. The defense was what they were hoping it was going to be in terms of being championship caliber. And the offense really wasn't last year for Ole Miss. So I think they're going to take a step back on that side of the ball. And again, we're looking at this schedule where Cupcake City early on for them, they get an LSU at home, sure, but they have to go to Georgia. Then I think the wheels are going to come off late in the season. They have to go to Georgia. The week after that, they have to go to Oklahoma. They are not winning in Oklahoma. Circle that game right now. They're going to get physically bludgeoned by Georgia on October 18th. And then they have to go to Norman the next week to Oklahoma. That's like potential game of the year situation, I feel like right now. So that could be potential back-to-back losses. Then they end with South Carolina at home. They get Florida at home. And then, Egg Bowl game is on the road this year. Mississippi State's not going to have anything else to play for, so that's their Super Bowl game. So actually, now that I'm looking at it, like I don't love the under.
I can't believe you forgot one team that they can maybe lose to.
Tulane?
One team.
Get out of here.
The Green Wave.
Get out of here. They host Tulane on September 20th. Tulane doesn't even know who their quarterback's going to be right now. They might not even know who their quarterback's going to be on the 20th. They have not named Jake Retzlaff the starter, have they? Yeah, they have like a 5.
But they're the best football team in the state of Louisiana the last 2 years. I'm just saying they had better records than LSU, better record than the Saints, better record than the Raging Cajuns, the Warhawks. I'm just saying.
Okay, put them in the NFC South, and well, actually, now that I think about that, yeah, maybe they would do that. Okay, were there any of the teams that we didn't talk about, didn't break down, that you are curious about, intrigued by, see some value with?
I'm with you. I think if I looked at them, I have two big question marks. South Carolina, is the hype real? They have a great quarterback that everyone thinks that could be a Heisman hopeful. And Oklahoma. Oklahoma's the only team that has not remembered that they're in the SEC. And if they keep on giving up points, then I think they have just a mediocre. But if their defense shows up and plays much better, then I think they're going to be a really, really big, tough out.
Well, last year they couldn't score. Their offense has been a joke the last 2 years. That's why I like them bringing in Mateer and bringing in his offensive coordinator from Washington State. Mateer can sling it, and he's just kind of feisty. He's got a little Diego Pavia to him where he runs around. He's just kind of a playmaker. He can throw the ball. I think that will bring an intriguing wrinkle. The problem for Oklahoma this year is the same as it was last year. The schedule is just relentless. Like the SEC just absolutely screwed Oklahoma in these first 2 years of joining the SEC. If you took Oklahoma and you gave them Missouri's schedule, there were 6 teams last year that had losing records in the SEC. Missouri gets to play 5 of them. And Missouri's schedule last year was kind of a joke, was kind of soft. If you gave Oklahoma Missouri's schedule, they'd win 10 games.
Okay. They have to play Michigan in their second game. I mean,
Michigan their second game. They play Michigan. Auburn. They have to, they get Texas on a neutral ground. They get Oklahoma. They have to go to South Carolina, to Tennessee, to Alabama. They end with Missouri. They get at home. Again, another potential game of the year situation right there. And they play LSU. So a lot of losable games, but their season win total is only 6.5. I like the over for Oklahoma. They're definitely a team that I'm a little higher on than some other people. I think they're ready for round 2, basically, after getting kicked in the jaw a lot last year with just a brutal, merciless, relentless schedule.
I think their schedule is tougher this year than it was last year.
Really? Yeah.
I'm not saying. They have to go to at Temple. I'm not saying Temple is going to be a tough game, but that's coming off of Michigan. So, are they going to be healthy? What's the mindset of coming into Temple in that one? So that could be something. It's a harder game than maybe if you look at they're gonna be minus 40 point favorites or something. I
don't have the number on that game, but I think Oklahoma's going to beat Michigan.
I do too. I'm just saying the physicality of Michigan. What's the mentality of
Temple? But Temple, get out of here. That might be one of those situations where it's a letdown, look ahead game.
Yeah,
where they
that's what
Michigan,
I mean.
And it's the week before Auburn.
Yeah,
no. Like Temple might be getting 27 points in that game and might be worth a little nibble. They got Casey Keeler is the new head coach, the guy who was at Sam Houston State. So Temple might be a live dog in that situation, but they're not losing that game. So
no, I'm saying mentality. When you have a tough schedule and you have a tough game where you're supposed to win by double digits and maybe you only win by 10, that's mentality. That's what's your
right. That's what I'm saying. I might be looking at Temple against the spread in that game, so we'll be getting more than 3 touchdowns. But Oklahoma's going to beat Illinois State. I haven't beaten Michigan. They're going to beat Temple and they're going to beat Kent State. That's 4 wins right there. They host Missouri late in the season. That's win number 5. So they only have to get 2 more games in order to clear this bar. And I think they're going to. They get Ole Miss at home. They get LSU at home. South Carolina doesn't scare me. I love Lenore Sellers. That kid is no joke. That kid is a real deal. He'll be a professional. But they lost a ton on that defense last year.
Yeah, that defense is going to kill them this year.
Right. They're just really young this year, where next year, if Sellers were to stay, I would be back high on South Carolina. But, they get them on the road. I think that's a game that they could win. And it's not beyond. I think that Oklahoma has the talent on both sides of the ball, especially if Mateer clicks, where they can upset either Alabama, Texas, or Tennessee. I can see them getting one of those games. So I love Oklahoma over 6.5. So, okay, we got to end it there. That's it for What Are the Odds? Again, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. Hopefully you found some of this information useful. If you did, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below. And don't forget about that promo code, NFL Pre-40. Again, I have my NFL preseason game of the year. Now, it's only a 3-unit play because we really shrank everything, as you should be too. You shouldn't be betting the NFL preseason at the same levels that you're betting the NFL regular season. But this is a game that I saw. I'm going against the public in this game. I'm not pulling my punches. I saw it. I liked it. I'm taking my shot, and I feel pretty good about it. So we have that. Raphael's been red hot in baseball, so look for his next top baseball play as well. And other than that, just have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you next week. Carpe diem, and good luck.